Drift net fishing is a fishing technique established around the 11th and 12th centuries where nets hang vertically in the water column without being anchored to the ocean floor. As shown in the diagram, the trawler boats pull a net that is kept vertical by the floats that are attached to a rope along the top of the net and weights attached to another rope along the bottom of the net. These vessels are called trawlers and have the most impact when it comes to fishing. Nets can be as big as 1 mile long, which is the size of the Golden Gate Bridge. In recent years, fishermen have utilized monofilament nylon, which is a clear plastic and has been widely used, mostly because it is harder to see. Because drift nets, also called gill nets, are used mostly at nighttime, the meshes of monofilament nylon are less visible to the fish, which makes it harder to avoid and harder to see. This diagram depicts the different types of netting such as snagged, gilled, and wedged, which fishermen use different size nets to catch different size fish. The larger the wedge, the larger the fish that the fishermen are able to catch. Since the 1980s, trawling with drift nets has been the highest impact of catching fish, which causes a threat to the sustainability of coastal regions. This is because the nets catch not just target species, but also non-target species called bycatch species. Bycatch species is defined as a catch that is either of a different species, the wrong sex, or is undersized or juvenile individuals of the target species. This includes, but is not limited to, various types of dolphins, sharks, whales, porpoises, turtles, and endangered species of fish. This is a problem because it puts endangered species at risk and it causes certain non-target animals to be killed off and endangered. As shown in the picture, it is easy for animals to become trapped. Anything floating or swimming in the entire water column will become entrapped in the netting. So entire pods of dolphins, large sea turtles, and smaller sharks can easily be caught in the netting. A study conducted in the 1980s collected data that determined how much of a fisherman's drift net catch was of the target species. In the late 1980s, drift nets were estimated to have killed as many as 1 million dolphins and porpoises annually. In addition, millions of seabirds, tens of thousands of seals, thousands of sea turtles, and an untold number of sharks and other large species of fish were accidentally snared and killed. This informational pamphlet reported that 61% of each drift net catch is thrown overboard. This catch includes an average of 4 bottlenose dolphins, 2 loggerhead sea turtles, 2 humpback whales, 2 fin whales, 2 sperm whales, and many other types of marine species. A study in California collected logbooks from a majority of the drift gillnet fleet and included data on most species caught. The initial study showed 6% for swordfish, 1% for thresher sharks, and 1% for shortfin mako sharks. As seen in the chart, in 1987, about 27.7% of the entire year's catch consisted of various species of sharks. These percentages only increased every year. In 1991, it was about 33.2%. This was not the target species, which was swordfish. These sharks were caught and could not be released because they died due to the netting around their gills. In just 4 years, the percentage of bycatch increased by 5.5%. At this rate, the population of most bycatch sharks could face detrimental losses in terms of total population. This is considered to be a crisis point for the marine environment. These are just 2 instances from 2 different locations around the world. It has been a challenge for scientists to conclude just how detrimental drift netting has been on marine species because fishermen will often overthrow their bycatch. There have been limits set, but it is hard to regulate the entire Pacific Ocean, which is why there needs to be not just more government interaction, but also awareness of the arising issue. Due to the rise and loss of non-target species, organizations around the globe have contributed to the preservation and conservation of the oceans. The UN has put a ban on large-scale drift net fisheries since 1991, as they continue to promote aquaculture, which is the growth of healthy fish in artificial environments. Russia has also banned large-scale drift gill nets, primarily targeting salmon, and Pope Francis has recently criticized fishing methods that discard much of what they collect. The world's leaders are looking into alternative fishing methods such as fisheries or fishing farms, but are unable to develop a more sustainable solution. As for what I can do and what I encourage the rest of you to do is to help create areas that ban fishing in critically important areas and to help clean up underwater ghost nets that have been left behind. I will leave you with this. Before you order that expensive fish from a restaurant, ask the origin of the fish and keep in mind that the estimated bycatch deaths of whales, dolphins, porpoises, and sharks is averaged to be about 1,000 every single day.